Hi, I'm Tyson,
I'm Colin.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Adam.
and we're the Gamesmith, and we just got done playing the Quest Kids. We want to talk to you a little bit about our experience with it. To start, Ryan's got some thoughts.
Yeah. So first of all, I think we all enjoyed it. I think it was a solid game. The mechanics were straightforward. Felt like I do a lot of that type of gaming, like dungeon crawler gaming, is right up my alley, and I like that kind of stuff. And as an introduction to this is really good. All the mechanics are there. They're really simple. They're easy enough for kids to understand. But we also find it a lot more, engaging and interesting than like Chutes and Ladders or Candyland. Even though it's pretty like mechanically similar to Candyland, you use kind of matching colors on cards and flip, and it's not. So there's nothing there that's overly confusing, but it's all presented well, and it's fun, and it gives you, putting the stuff face down and is always fun. I always like doing that because you get a different experience every
Surprise.
time.
Yeah, you know it's going to be random, and you're going to have a different play.
The whole aesthetically, it was really great. I think it looked really nice. The only thing I'd put an asterisk on there is the backgrounds on the cards. Once you flip them over, like the little too busy.
Yeah.
I would have just had like, here's your monster, here's your thing, not necessarily with the brick still behind it and everything like that. But other than that, I thought it was great. I thought the playmat was great, with the dungeon cards laid out. Like everything was felt nice and laid out real well. We've had some memory type games where we lay a bunch of things down and it doesn't all quite work out. So it was all overall. I think it was a really good package. It was a good game. I think if you're aiming for like the Chutes and Ladders and Candyland kind of area, or maybe the next game after that, this is perfect for that.
In addition to what Ryan's saying, I would just contribute that there were two other things that I thought that were really good. Like, I agree 100% with everything that Ryan just said, but I would also add that the pace of the game was perfect for for a kid's game. Like, it went really quick. Everybody was just moving through their turns.
My turn was coming around before
no
I
real
knew
stalling.
it. Yeah.
You knew what you were going to do on your turn and how you were going to do it, and the only real question was, do I have enough cards and how does that work? And everybody was involved in that when there weren't enough cards, because the only time that you could try and work with somebody was when you were trying to fight a monster, and then you're asking, hey, who wants to help me? And everybody's engaged in that, and so that was fun. And then the second thing I thought, and this may be outside of your control depending on whether or not you're pitching this game or self-publishing this game, but if you're doing it yourself, and I know these components obviously aren't final, but the chunky diamonds and the toyification of what was going on here was just perfect, because it was just gave that complete feel too. This is fun. I actually like picking up my figure, moving it around. Yes, it's PJ Masks, but maybe you could have more toyification type of stuff. It just was fun. The big bosses were big. The little monsters were just these little guys.
The diamonds felt like fun treasure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fine. Like that. Yeah, all that stuff was
Big gaudy pieces.
fun,
yeah, really silly. I think
hard to choke
you're
on.
obviously going to have to come up with new components because
Right.
trademarked stuff. But I think I agree with what they're saying. I think staying on that same theme of
big, colorful.
just fun toy looking.
I want that.
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah,
I
really
actually
fun.
felt opposite about that.
Oh, did you?
I was a little confused as to why you were taking a card and a piece. It felt like it was redundant. But, I mean, thinking about it from like a kid perspective, it is more fun to have to touch and to feel and to. You are that character, and you did get that. So from being you wanting us to play this with kids and trying to think about the kids' perspective, yes, I liked it. But as an adult player, it was redundant to me.
Yeah,
but and I loved the game. I had a great time. What I liked about it is the variability of you being able to help other people. Like I was able to get how many? 3 of the Kind Kid cards because I was just helping these guys. And the thing about helping is that the game doesn't shut down if the random choice of you going somewhere didn't have the either knowledge or wizard or power.
Now, I will chime in there a little bit. There were a couple of times where from the perspective of a kid, and granted, my kid is not old enough to play this game yet, but having nieces and nephews of the age that I think would play this, I could see in the instance in which you are asking for help, because when Colin was asking for help, everybody assumed, oh, we can help.
No, everyone was asking for help from me, and I was
Right,
helping
right. When
them.
Colin was able to give help, his position in the points appeared to be further down. Now, again, that's probably
It was at the time. I was
right.
Yeah, I was
It
in
may
last
not
place.
be something that a kid's going to factor out all those points and do the math to figure it out. So that it may be a non-issue, but there are points at which, if I'm asking for help, and somebody were to say, "No, I'm not going to help you,"
No,
I
you
can
just
see.
lose.
Yeah, you're going to lose one of your cards, and you're not going to get the monster. You're not going to get that toyification side of things. And your turn, you don't get to do anything else on your turn. I could see some fill bads there. Now, is that an issue with the game or not? I don't really think it's a main issue, but with the audience that the game is directed at, I could see some negative reactions to it. So that's just something to watch out for.
Yeah.
The only real issue that I encountered in the game was the shop for me, because it felt like to purchase the shop, anything from the shop, you needed a certain X amount of treasure. The cheapest thing, I think, was 2 treasure, and
And it was a one-time use.
it was a one-time use. And then on top of that, I couldn't really get, unless I got lucky and drew a treasure tile or picked it instead of a different item, then I wasn't going to be able to purchase it. And if I picked it to pick the treasure, I actually felt like I didn't want to. It was worth 1 star. Was it worth the money to spend it? Because I had an opportunity in which to spend it, but I would have gotten exactly the same amount of stars from spending my thing as I did from taking it. So it just
Especially
didn't,
like the more powerful stuff you're looking at, you're not going to be able to buy it till the end of the game. And then by the time you buy it, you maybe get to use it once or twice before the game's over, in which case I would rather keep 6 treasures and have 3 victory
Exactly.
points. Like, so I think overall, as far as, you did enjoy the game very much, but the things that I would work on, number one, in your instruction manual, the part about fighting a monster and the part about how you help people fight monsters are like a page and a half apart. And I would put those all together and just explain this is how combat goes and this is how someone helps you if you want. Right now it says this is how combat goes. Someone can help you if you'd like, explained later. And then you have like 5 more paragraphs and then you explain how helping goes. And that's a little confusing and kind of got us into, I had to skip around a little bit. And then the other thing is just kind of you almost get there, but you never quite come out with like just kind of a statement. In Quest Kids, you and your 3 friends explore a dungeon to fight and treasure and monster and help each other out, blah, blah, blah. So I would include something like that, which is a little bit more specific of a, hey, this is what we're doing, and then a little bit get your 2 halves of combat in the same paragraph there so you can explain it to everyone. And then I think the other thing that I think we all felt is I think you're maybe a little under-incentivized to help people and a little, and not quite incentivized once you're a little under-incentivized to use the shop. So I would almost do something along the lines of either if you ask for help, the person has to get it, but they still get their Kind Kid cards. So you can kind of maybe force something like that, or make helping more common with something like that, where everyone just agrees, oh, if someone asks for help, you have to help them. And that's just the attitude of the game.
there could be some fill bads, and so, you just
yeah.
took my cards.
Right.
Well, I gave you a card back. You could hopefully it's equal, but
Right. And then the other thing is I would can I see the rules here real quick? I don't think you have them, but I would consider right now you have a tiebreaker. So if there's still a tie, and that is if there's a tie for most stars and a tie for most hearts, then the third tiebreaker is the most kind cards. I would make kind cards I would give the biggest bonus at the end of the game for having the most kind cards.
That's a good
or at
idea.
least a bonus equal to the rest of them for having the most kind cards. It shouldn't be buried as your third tiebreaker if you really want people to help out.
Well, that actually brings up a point that I hadn't really thought about until you started talking about that. Depending on how young this is going for, there's a lot of little tiebreakery things we had to figure out. Okay, there were a couple times that you tied for health, you tied for most whatever cards, most treasure cards, etc. And so you had to figure out who gets what points and how it works. There's a lot of math, which it can be really good depending on the age you're targeting, trying to help addition, get that type of stuff. But I also, at the same time, look at other games that I feel are on the same level, whether that's Candyland or whether that's Chutes and Ladders or whatever. And the win condition is fairly straightforward.
Right.
You don't have to spend a lot of time, well, did I win or didn't I win? And
So maybe take out the bonuses at the end.
that's
make it a
kind of what
little
I'm
easier for
thinking.
kids
Just
to
the
score. Yeah, I
amount
mean,
of stars
that's
you have
certainly something to think
is how
of.
you win. If there's
Yeah.
a tie, you can have a tiebreaker for that.
Because you
but-
do
can
have
just make it optional.
Yeah, you do have pretty simple. That's one thing I really liked. I think you were really on point with a lot of your iconography, and it was very clear that you're just like, oh, this heart is my heart card, and it's also worth 2 stars at the end of the game because there's
Yeah.
2 stars at the bottom, and 2 gold equals 1. Like you had that really good kind of Euro, no language skills needed iconography down really well. But then there's some kind of hidden stars in the back here, which can be a little bit like a little tougher for if you have an adult playing with them, great. But if you really have
the
4
kids playing
This
on
in
their
a
own.
kindergarten or a first
four
grade
kindergarten-
classroom.
Yeah, like if you have a kindergarten classroom playing this together, just having that clearer win condition might be a little more helpful or a little more beneficial to children. But like you said, there's some math skills in there too.
Yeah, there's
And-
things to be earned
yeah.
from that. So it's all that depends on what you're looking for.
Yep.
In addition to that kind of keeping it on par with that simplicity, I think Ryan was saying this with the rules, but I just wanted to be a little bit explicit about it in that the fact that we had to go back and check a couple of rules. And in a game of this caliber with the audience you're looking for, the younger audience, I would imagine that you don't want any instance in which you have to go back and check the
Right.
rules.
Small inconsistencies like you can help fight monsters, but you can't help get treasures.
Right.
You can't help get special items. I'm sorry.
The more easily digestible this rule book is, the more easily it is to just dive into that
Yeah.
game.
And this is clearly
Right.
a work in progress. But
Right.
as you are refining this, keep that in mind. So I think overall you have a really great game here. It's a solid explory dungeon crawler kind of game for a young audience. The mechanics are all solid and straightforward. Your iconography and a lot of your art is just great, and the aesthetics of it are wonderful. Maybe just look at streamlining your win conditions and incentivizing people a little bit more to help out, and then just tightening up and streamlining your rule book in general. But overall, we had a lot of fun. We think you got a great game going here. Thanks a lot, and keep up the good work.